Welcome to Eagles Haven Ministry, eagleshavenministry.com, HaRuachEliyahu channel, and EliyahuChannel.com. We are coming to you live from Eagles Haven Ministry Ranch in beautiful Banning, California. Greet you and the Shabbat Shalom that you may have. Get on the phone, get on the net, text people, let them know we're going to have a live stream coming from here. The things I'm going to be sharing with you today, we just pray that the presence of His Ruach HaKodesh will come upon you and touch you with revelation and direction and instruction. One of the tasks that we're going to be sharing is a prepping. This is going to be a prep of what I'm going to be sharing concerning the Hebrew calendar. I could not give you the Hebrew calendar and show you how paganized it is with only 2 or 3 good, correct months. But what we're going to do is we're going to start with the Gregorian calendar, the Julius calendar, and show you the pagan days that are right now in operation. I want you to just take a deeper breath of air. I know it's more corrections that we're doing. It seems like we're walking out and working out our salvation with revere and reverence to grow closer to Yahushua and to Abba Yahuwah. And I wanted to share these things with you. I know we here at Eagles Haven, also in Texas, we practice trying to use the yoms of the week. Yom is day. I don't like to use the word day unless somebody doesn't understand it, due to the fact that Dayas is a deity of going all the way back to Babylon and in Phoenician and Canaanite and you name it, which we're going to be looking at a little bit of that today. Right now, we just greet you with a Shabbat and a Shabbat Shalom. And we ask that the Ruach HaKodesh will come upon you and touch you, everybody that is watching by live stream or watching by a pre-recorded edited version of the DVD or listening by CD. We want you to be open to receive today. We ask that the Ruach HaKodesh would tear down the strongholds of the mind in every aspect and area, that these strongholds will come off our minds and will root out all the things that are not of Yahuwah, and will untie ourselves from the bondages that are happening right now, so crafted in or assimilated in all societies. So we ask, Father, in the Shem of Yahushua, that your Ruach HaKodesh would take the blinders off, take all the veils off, take all the binders of the enemy that has kept everyone in bondage through the Gregorian calendar, through Pope Gregory, and the bondage and the spell of Julius Caesar's calendar and the calendars of the world. And we know are in China, we know they're in Japan, and we know they're in Korea, all the paganistic calendars for the yoms of the week and the months that worship their pagan deities. And they have sacrifices and don't even realize it. We pray, Father, that people's eyes will be opened up and a revelation will come in and they'll be touched by your Ruach HaKodesh, and they'll come under the understanding of right ruling and receive the right ruling of Yahuwah this yom. We love you that are watching, and all the followers of Yah, and all the Mishporka that are coming home to the house of Israel, and them that are Ger and Gerim, that are sojourners. They feel alienated, but they're not. We just pray that the Ruach HaKodesh will give you comfort and everlasting comfort as you walk in the fruit of the Ruach HaKodesh and walk in the understanding and the revelation of the Torah and the Torah. I want you to go with me to Shemot, Exodus, chapter 23, and we're going to begin in verse 13. And in all that I have said to you, take heed. Now, let me back up a little bit. In verse 12, 6 days you are to do your work, and on the seventh yom you rest, in order that your ox and your donkey might rest, and the son of your female servant and the sojourner be refreshed. And in all, verse 13, in all that I have said to you, take heed and make no mention of the name of other mighty ones. Let it not be heard from your mouth. And this is one of the 2 or 3 witnesses of Scriptures where the Father has given us a witness to bear witness, to have blushing conscience according to the Torah, of all the teachings of Torah, to come to an understanding that we have to walk out, work out, and move away from what we were grafted in and assimilated in this nation, another nation. If you're listening from Great Britain, or some that are watching from Canada or China or Korea, we all have inherited lives from our forefathers in the government or in the society of the system through the calendar system. And by mentioning the words, we have to watch ourselves, because we're mentioning the different pagan deities, which I'm about to show you. It says not to mention the name of other mighty ones, other deities. Okay? If we were to go to the Orthodox translation, it says, and in all that I have said unto you, be circumspect and make no mention of the Shem, Elohim, Ashraim, neither let it be heard out of your mouth. Okay? And let's go back to ISR, and then we're going to go now to chapter 34. And chapter 34 of Shemot, Exodus, verse 12, guard yourself lest you make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land where you are going, lest it be a snare in your midst. Now, we are all sojourners here, and some are waking up that we're coming to being grafted into the house of Israel. Some realize that they are Yisrael, and that they're coming out of all the stuff that they were involved with. And some are they feel alienated, and they are from the house of Israel, but they're coming back in. And so it says here that wherever we're inhabited, no matter where we inhabit, California, Chicago, Texas, Dakotas, wherever you at, Tennessee, and you're a follower of Yah, all over the world, we are in that inhabitant of that land that has Babylon or Egypt type of doctrines of demons controlling its system, with principalities and powers and rulers of darkness and spiritual wickedness in high places, empowering them to possess the people and assimilate the people through the educational system. And so you have to come to an understanding and revelation to guard yourself lest you make a covenant. You can be in the midst and rub elbows with sinners or the demon-possessed people, you know what I mean? But you cannot make covenant with them in the environment of the inhabitants of the land where you are going, lest it be a snare in your midst. It becomes a snare unto you. It says, break down their pillars and smash their altars, and smash their pillars and cut down their Asherah. For you do not bow yourself to another mighty one, for you, whose name is a jealous mighty one. Lest you make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land, verse 15, and they whore after their mighty ones, and slaughter to their mighty ones, and one of them invites you, and you eat of its slaughterings. Okay, I brought this verse up for you because of the fact that we are, according to Corinthians, we cannot drink the cup of the devils, and we can't drink the cup of Yahuwah. We can't eat from the Yahuwah's plate and the plate of devils. And we're we got family that we love, and our children, our family, and some other loved ones that are not come into the covenant and been crossed over, grounded in the house of Israel yet, and they don't understand Torah and the right proper diet and the right eating and the right covering of everything about the Torah and the Tanakh and Brit Kadasha. So this is a season that we are tested, everybody. We have gone over the hump of it because everybody knows who we are now, and they won't even invite us. We can invite them to come to our festivals and feasts and Shabbats, and so we can teach them the right rule. There's certain feasts of the 7 feasts we can't invite them, but when it comes to Shabbat and Hanukkah and some other things, we can invite them and teach them and try to win them to understand, to come out of the traditions of men. And it says here, lest you make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land, and they whore after their mighty ones, and slaughter to their mighty ones, and one of them invites you, and you eat of its slaughterings. You got to remember that when they even sacrificed to Baal or Dagon or the other deities, they partook of the sacrifice. If they sacrifice a child, the priest to eat a piece of it, drink the blood, and give the family a piece of it too. If they sacrifice to pig, to the altar to Zeus, like they did at the time of Hanukkah, like you learned last 2 weekends ago, they partook of the sacrifice of the pig. If it's a certain unclean animal and they sacrificed, they partook and ate or drank the blood. They partook of the sacrifice. So when we go to a meal and it's Christo Misa, it's the Mass, and Mass, they say, you don't understand, a lot of people don't understand, but the word Mass means depart from me. And they're saying, depart from me, the anointing, because Christi or Christo means the first stage of anointing of the or what they call the Mashak. So, and so people are partaking of the meal when they're invited to the table of the Christo Misa parties or celebrations with ham. And you might go there and say, well, I'm just going to eat this, I'm not going to eat that. Yeah, but there's a problem. You're at their table. Okay, now you have to discern out of love where you're at to want to minister to the family members. If they invite you to their Christo Misa meetings and you want to go to evangelize or minister or win them, you got to realize if they cook from the same stove or they cook from the same plate, maybe somebody brought the vegetables in and that vegetable is clean, it's separated from the pork or other clean items that they have crab or if they got other things they're eating. You got to discern what is not touching the pig. We can't eat nothing but the utensils or the pans or the spoons and forks of serving in the table can be touch of the uncleanness of the pork, which is found in Leviticus and also in Deuteronomy. So I'm just sharing this briefly with you because this is the topic in a few days, which is coming up, the season of the Christi Misa, which is actually the birthday of Mithras, the sun deity worship of the sun. All right, so it's Mithras worship that Constantine was worshiping, not the son of Yahuwah or the son of Aloha. He was worshiping Mithras, sun worshiping, and they eat the pig in that celebration. That's why it's famous among the Europeans to eat the ham. Okay, so if you come out of the Seventh-day Adventists, you don't have to worry about it because most of those Seventh-day Adventist families, they don't eat meat. You know, they're vegan, right? They're vegetarians, most of them, and they don't have pig in the house or unclean food. So you're a little bit okay if you go with your family that are still a part of they're part of the Sabbatarians or the Seventh-day Adventists. Their kitchen is a little more cleaner, different than if you would go to your family members and friends or associates that were, or work associates that are a part of the Christian community. So take heed to what I'm saying in this verse. In verse 16, and you take of their slaughterings, and you take of his daughters for your sons, and his daughters whore after their mighty ones, and make your sons whore after their mighty ones. Do not make a molten mighty one for yourselves. Okay, guard the festival of unleavened bread. So now they're going to get into unleavened bread. But I just wanted to break that down to you and to give you a little understanding of it. How we're supposed to be Kodesh, we're supposed to be Kodeshim, we're supposed to be a Zadik, Yahuwah, Talmadim. Now let's go to in Yehoshua or Joshua 23 verses 6 and 7. And you shall be very strong to guard and do all that is written in the book of the Torah of Moshe. And it's very clear it's the Torah of Moshe. It's not the Torah of oral, Torah, Talmud, rabbinical, Pharisee, Hasidic, add-on, Talmud, Babylon law, even though they're clean when it comes to foods, but it's explaining here the book of the Torah of Moshe, so as not to turn aside from it right or left. In other words, do not swing any direction whatsoever. Verse 7, so as not to go in among the nations, or ethnos in Greek, not the word Gentiles. It's a goy, it's a journer. These who remain among you, and make no mention of the name of their mighty ones. Nor swear by them, nor serve them, nor bow down to them. So it's explaining here not to make the mention of the name of their mighty ones. And we know that rabbinical Jews today, they do speak G-O-D and L-O-R-Ds and Adon and those words, which we know are pagan mighty ones. And they are just as blind and misled by the blind and been inherited lies from their forefathers as well. So as we're coming out, as you're coming out of Christianity and you're coming out of Messianic stuff that still is partaking of compromised words and conversations, of blending, of the assimilation of this nation of the United States, as you come out of it and you be an example to them, it also leads to a testimony. If I tell somebody I'll meet you on Yom Rishon, which it is the pagan deity, the sun, Deis, or day, okay? But if I say the first day of the week, Yom Rishon, and they say, well, what's that? Well, it's the clean word for the number of the first day of the week in Hebrew, okay? And I still get some adults that say, I thought the first day of the week is Monday. No, it's not the lunar day, moon day, right? It is not Monday. It's the first day of the week is the sun god day, Sunday. And look at your calendar, the way it's set up. And most calendars, if they're printed good, they'll tell you that that's the first day of the week. But anyway, so what they have us doing, they have the enemy through the system we're assimilated in, no matter if you're in Europe, Canada, China, Korea, Japan, they have the calendar of the dragon, the calendar of this, calendar of that. There's only a few countries in the world today that have stepped away from the Gregorian calendar, and they use number system. The first, second, or the third month of the 23rd day, they have a number system, which is clean and it's part of the Hebrew understanding. It's because when we are mentioning these names of the mighty ones, I know we're not worshiping them. I know we're not celebrating them. But you must understand that they actually, when during the time of the assimilation, of the Greek assimilation, when there was the Maccabees, and the reason we celebrate this Feast of Dedication to come out of that garbage that we just celebrated a week ago, that during that time, they were worshiping. They had, when it became Sun God Day, they worshiped to the Sun Deus Day. When it was Lunar Day, Monday, they worshiped, sacrificed that day. And they did it every day of the week and repeated it the next 7 days. If it was the Julius calendar, it was an 8-day week. And they had an extra day for an extra deity, and they would go ahead and sacrifice every day, and then they repeat it again. When the new month started, they would sacrifice to the deity January, which we're about to see once we get completed with the days of the week. And then when the next month does, they do it again. So they were sacrificing the pig, the oink oink, and other unclean things every day, all right, in their pagan temples. And people were paying and celebrating and feasting and eating. They were barbecuing pork chops instead of lamb chops. Okay, so, or a good steak dinner. But they were sacrificing, and then they did repeatedly for the month and celebrate the deity of that month. So it was constant. They were very religious. Don't think the Greeks and the Romans were not religious. The Catholics are religious, and Christianity and the Christian tradition community, they're very religious in their celebrations. Okay, but sincerity and sincerely wrong, you still miss the mark. You're 18 inches from your head to your heart, missing the mark, because if you want with your mind to follow the traditions of men. We're going to look at now verse 3 and 4, Deuteronomy, chapter 12, verse 34. And you shall break down their altars and smash their pillars and burn their asherim. Those are groves, where you see like the town of Garden Grove, or whenever you see the word grove for a city, there's usually a garden grove of the pagan worship of asherim And they also do Mason rituals when they close the park. When they close the park, they do rituals there, even today, as they call it, a grove. Okay? I want you to know that. And keep that in mind and and have revelation of understanding on that. So when you're driving down the road and you see a word grove, that's asharim. That's grove and asharim in the dictionary are one and the same. It's pagan worship in a garden where they do sexual rituals or they do rituals. We have the Bohemian Grove in California where the Illuminati and the Masons meet. And they say it in your face, the Bohemian Grove. And in other words, when you look it up, grove, it will say asharim. And you look up asharim, it would say grove. It's just a cover word in our modern English that people are aware of when they're reading their King James Bible. They see asharim and don't see the word grove, and they fail to go in the dictionary, even the Bible dictionary, to see the difference. And burn their asharim with fire, and you should cut down the carved images of their mighty ones, and you should destroy their name out of that place. The names of the ethnos or the goy deities, mighty one, the footnote. Okay, do not do so to Yahuwah your Aloha. Okay, so now. It says here to destroy the names. So what we're going to do is spiritually, mentally, emotionally, in our walk and talk, to the best of our ability. And it's hard. When you're in Israel, you can speak all the clean words and everybody understands you. You know what I mean? There's no problem with it. It's only the American or people that of different ethnic groups like French, Polish, German, Russian, Jews, they might throw other words to their friends that are learning, but if they know Hebrew, if you say Yom Rishon, Yom Shini, Yom Shlishi, Yom Revi'i, Chamishi, or Sheshi, and Shabbat, they know those words, all right, and they know the Yoms of them. But the problem, what I'm going to teach you on the next session, is the pagan deities that are locked into the months of the Hebrew Jewish calendar. I would call it the rabbinical Talmud Jewish calendar of Babylon. Is not really an Israelite calendar or Hebrew calendar, because in the Torah there's different information. So I wanted to give you these scriptures, in which I know I give it to everybody all the time. They're all in my pamphlets. Every piece of material I have these verses, not to mention the name of other mighty ones. But I just wanted, for the first time hearers, and a reminder of rehearsing this revelation to come to your understanding. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and start with the weeks. Okay? What you've seen here, this is a great website. I found this from followers of Yah. They believe in Yahushua. And there's different images for the sun, the moon, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Okay? There's different images if it comes from the Druids, if it comes from the Anglo-Saxons, if it comes from the Swedes, if it comes from the Vikings, if it comes from whatever it is, or if it comes from ancient Canaanite or Babylon. But this is the group that they put it in of these pagan deity days. Okay? So I want you to know that they're pagan mighty ones. In every culture, this lineup, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, are all pagan deities, even among the Islamic calendar. They got pagan names, just like in the Jewish calendar. So I'm going to go ahead and read to you, and you're going to see this on the screen, and read it with me. And it says here, the sun dias, or Sunday, day of the sun, because we know that sun and day are pagan deities, so we're going to go, as a matter of fact, if you look up in the Greek, it is not, the word for the bright one that keeps us warm is actually sophis. It's a certain word in Greek for a metal that continues to burn, and the stars are not astaras, they're luminaries. So there's different words in the Greek and Hebrew for those particular our what we call our sun and a moon. Okay, moon is Kodesh. So Sunday, the day of the sun, is the first day or Yom of the week. Its English name and its German name is Sonntag, are derived from the Latinus solis, Latin dies solis, sun's day. Day is a deity too. It's the name of a deity. The name of a pagan Roman holiday, and we know that holy or Holi is a pagan deity too. And Sunday is called the Lord's Day of the Dominican in the Latin version, and in the Romance language of French, Dominici, and in Italian, Domenica, and in Spanish, Domingo. Okay, so now, they call it the Lord's Day, and we know that Lord, L-O-R-D, is connected to, even in all the Christian dictionaries, and you can look at my other videos on YouTube, and you can see where I explain that L-O-R-D is B-A-A-L, using the different Christian Bible dictionaries on eSword, or you could pull on your own dictionaries, and I explain all the dictionaries on those videos, okay? Also, the Roman Dominica, okay? Sunday was instituted as a day or a yom of rest for the Roman Empire, not Christians or the Christian community, which were not called Christians back then, but called Nazarene, or the called out synagogue ones, who still observed the seventh yom, Shabbat, at that time, by the Romanos Emperor Constantine the Great. Since the 4th century, ecclesiastical and civil legislation controlled by the Roman Apostolic Catholic Church has frequently regulated work on Sunday and service and attendance. It is called Yom in Hebrew. It is called Yom Echad. Now, Yom Echad, it would be like the first day of the week. It's not saying the number Ahud. And when you say the numbers in Hebrew, it's Ahud, Sta'im, Shalosh, Arba, but it's not Ahud. It's Echad, like the first, instead of number 1. So it's Echad. Or Yom Yeshon in Hebrew, meaning the first Yom, or Yom 1. Okay? So if you want to say the correct word, it could be Yom Echad, Yom Rishon. It'll be Yom 1, the first Yom of the week. All right? Or you could say the proper, in Hebrew, Yom Echad, Yom Rishon. Okay, now let's look at the second Yom, which they call Monday. That's the deity, day of the moon. So it's a moon deity. Is the second Yom of the week, derived from the Anglo-Saxon Monan Daik. Daik is the word of the deity of day, okay, which means the moon's Yom. Its Latin equivalent is Dies Luna, or day of the moon. For the Anglo-Saxons, the second Yom was sacred, or set apart to them, to the female deity of the moon, also related to the goddess Diana. You'll see Diana, the deity of the hunt, where the hunters would pray at night to go hunt at night to get, whatever they're going to get. And hunting at night, it'll be hard to hunt at night, but they do. All right. And so even today, a lot of men go out at night and wait for the dawn of break of day to catch the venison or deer or whatever, their moose, whatever they're hunting. So they used to pray to the deity Diana. Okay. She's related also for the moon. It is called Yom in proper Hebrew, in Ibrit. It is Yom Shini, meaning the second Yom, or Yom 2. Okay? Now, if we say the numbers, Ahud is 1, Shata'im is number 2. But we're saying second, not number 2. We're saying second, like we say, we put a 2 and an ED on it. And for a number like the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth. Okay? It's also broke down in quarters. Tuesday is Tyr's day, Tyr's day, is the third day of the week, named for the Norse deity of war, Tu or Tur, the son of Odin, or Wooden. It is called Tisdag in Sweden, Tyrs Dag in Denmark. In Roman, it honored their pagan deity of Mars, the deity of war, by naming the third Yom for him. Latin, they say in the Catholic Church, Dies Martis, So they're talking about Martes, but it's actually dealing with Mars. And in France, the day is called Mardi. In Italy, it's Martidi. And in Spain, is Martes, almost like Spanish because it's Spain. Latin. And in German, it is Zayestak. And forgive me if I'm not pronouncing it correct here. I do know I don't practice this stuff, so it's not in my common phonetic sound chart. Or not only in German, it's with a Z sound, Zayestak, but Dienstag, and Stock is the day, okay, the deity day. Originally it was clean word, meaning a day of assembly, okay. It was like a midweek service thing. All right, for the pagans. And you think the Christians got midweek service under the hat that they created it? No, it was actually the pagan did that, and they did it on the Tuesday. It is called Yom Shlishi in Hebrew, the third Yom or Yom 3, and of course the number 3 is Shalosh. If you say the number 3, but we're talking about the third. We're using the word third, the 3 with an RD. Okay. Let's look at the number 4th. Wednesday. Woden's Day is the 4th day of the week, named to honor Odin or Woden, chief deity of the North mythology in Sweden and Denmark. The Yom is Ansdag. From its Norse original, the Roman honored their deity Mercury. So the Romans and Greeks were honoring Mercury by the naming the 4th Yom for him. In Latin, Dies Mercurii. They just put a double L in it. Language of Latin origin, retain the root. French is Mercredi. In Spanish is Mercoles. You say Mercoles. Excuse me. A long time since I used that word in Spanish. Greek is Mercuria. Mercury. All right. Then in Italian is Mercoledì. So it's all dealing with Mercury. The Germans call the Yom, the day, Mitzwoch, meaning midweek. It is called in Hebrew Yom Ibri. Ibri. You could use a B or a V for that letter. Aleph, Bet. So it's Ibri, meaning 4th Yom or Yom 4. Okay. We're going to learn that in the months they use Ibri too, but it's used as what we call the 4th quarter. Okay. Here's the 4th Yom. Let's go to number 5, the 5th Yom. Thursday. You see all the movies going on. The mighty one Thor with his magical hammer. Okay. People worship that day. They sacrifice to Thor. Okay. Thor's Day is named for Thor, who in Norse mythology is the deity of thunder, eldest son of Odin, ruler of the deities of Jord. It sounds like Lord, but we know the J did not exist back then. So it was either Horde, an H sound, the earth female deity. Thor was the strongest of the Asur, the chief deities whom he helped protect from their enemies. The giants was the enemies that he was protecting them from. And you see in these movies, these cartoon movies, we just watched one the other day where they had Thor in it. You know, what do they call that movie, brother? The Avengers. And you have a Thor in it. And now they have one, they started off with Thor in the beginning, and they have the Avengers. Okay? And he explains his power in the mighty ones of the deities. And who are the other men? Who's the green man? Who's the guy in the rocket suit? Who are all these other men that are superheroes, but they're genetically engineered human beings to become superhumans, and they were working together with Thor, which was a half-breed fallen messenger that was a woman that was raped by a principality, fallen one, and produced the offspring. Okay? So, and man is trying to genetically engineer, okay? Even Hulk is an engineered character in a lab. Okay, so they're creating these superheroes or cartoon superheroes, and the children will fantasize and have vain imaginations of fantasizing those heroes instead of the hero of David, instead of Samson, instead of all the ones in the scriptures of our scriptural, of the Torah superheroes, and having a revelation of following Torah and becoming and following the steps of these superheroes of Torah. So they have literally assimilated the children. We grew up in those cartoon comic books and those characters. Superman is Satan. He is the son of a deity that's cast his son to earth, okay, to live among men. And there was two sons. As you can look at that story, it's really the Satan. That big ass is not Superman, but it's Satan, okay? So the correct word, okay, so it says here, he had a magic hammer which he threw with the aid of an iron gloves. We know in the movie they don't show that. He just had an armband, okay? And which always returned to him. The thunder was supposed to be the sound of the rolling of his chariot. It is called in Hebrew, Yom Chamishi. It's the cough. The CH is one of the mid-cough sound in the Hebrew alphabet. Chamishi in Hebrew. The fifth Yom. Chamishi Yom. Yom Hamishi. Yom Hamishi. Okay? So, in Hamish is the number 5. If you were to say the numbers. Okay? But this means the second. Okay? Chamishi. The Yom. So let's look at the next. Number 6. Oh, this is the day people party and prepare for the fire and the Saturn day. You know what I mean? They party Friday. They say thank God on the dollar bill, the deity, the ancient deity of fortune and fortune that needs sacrifice the blood of babies to be on that dollar bill. The good and gut and Godi, and also in the people that live in India that are part of the Hindu is Godai. So Friar Yom, Friar Day, Frigg's Day is the name for Frigg or Frigga, who in Norse mythology is the female deity of the sky and the wife of Odin, the chief of the deities. She was worshipped as the female deity of darkness. And dirty deeds done in darkness. People love to party when the sun sets on Friday night. That's something. Who killed Balder with a mistletoe sprig. In German mythology, Frigg was sometimes identified with Frivia, the female deity of love. And we know what goes on Friday night when people are partying. A Greek Aphrodite, Chimera, in Hebrew, it is called Yom Sheshi. Yom Sheshi in Hebrew. It's the same thing we use for the day. It's Yom Sheshi Yom. If you were to use the number 6, it would be Shesh. That's for the word, but we're talking about the 6 with the letter, like say you write the number 6 and you put the TH. Yom Sheshi in Hebrew. So I want the months. Okay? We're going to go to the Yom of the months. Give me a minute while I set it up. And these are some of the deities with this particular great website of fellow followers of certain people, followers of Yahuwah that did this word. I give honor to honor whom's due. You know, I downloaded their stuff to show you. I could have put my own and took my time, but there's different images for January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August. Okay? And we're going to go through September, October, and November, December are actually numbers when they used to be, in the Julius calendar, when they used to be 10 months out of the year. Okay, so September to October to November, December is for that. All right, but now you have the pagan deities, and there's an image here which you are seeing of these pagan deities. And so you can see and zoom in close if you wish, if you want to. All right, now let's go through them. All right, let's begin with the pagan deity January, derived from the Latin Januarius, which in turn is derived from the Roman deity Portals, Porton, of beginnings and endings. Janus, to whom this month was sacred, or they're set apart. He is shown as having two faces, one in front and the other at the back of his head, supposedly to symbolize his powers. With the exception of Islamic states and other scattered pagan tribes, most of the world use the Gregorian calendar, named for the Roman Apostolic Catholic Pope Gregory III, who invented it or recreated it from Greek and Roman mythology or pagan deities. And it has January as the first month of the year. Romans legend has it that the ruler Numa Pompilius added January and February to the end of the 10th Roman calendar in around 700 BCE. Pompilius gave the month 30 yoms count. The Romans later made January the first month in the year 46 BCE. The Roman statesman Julius Caesar. Now you notice we put here Kaiser, and when you see Kaiser Hospital, Kaiser is the correct Greek word for Caesar. When you say Caesar with a C-A-E-S-A-R, that is Latin. So a lot of people go to the Kaiser Hospital, don't know that's Caesar's hospital. You know what I mean? Added a yom to January, added one more day, making it 31 yoms long. The Anglo-Saxons called the first month Wolf Month because the wolves came into their villages in winter in search of food in that period. It was about the coldest time, and they started searching for flesh. Okay? It's a pagan deity. Don't mention the name of other mighty ones. Okay? Now, I don't have, as I read these, I'm only giving you the pagan word. I'm not giving you the Hebrew words for the month. Okay? Because what I'm going to do is, I have it already, the message for next week. I'm going to show you the Jewish calendar, the common civil calendar, that has pagan mighty ones from Babylon, from the Talmud, oral Babylon, that was added in 350 BC when Israel returned from Babylon. They added to the calendar, the 12-month calendar of the Israelite calendar, Hebrew calendar, they added Babylon pagan deities. So instead of correcting it both here, I'm going to save that all by itself for next week, because it's going to take quite a time to help you get that understanding, and you can and share with you the correct Hebrew words and the different passages of scriptures we're going to search to see where they're at in the scriptures. Okay? So let's get back to February. Derived from Febra, the Roman festival of purification. It was originally the month of expiation. February is the shortest month of the Gregorian calendar. Now, you got to keep in mind here, you could call a pagan a pagan. Pagans call Christians pagans because they worship many of the pagan deities in the Christian names and words in their Bible, like the goddess Grace and the goddess Faita, faith, and I could go on and on. The different goddesses, Justice, is Dyke. So as we look at it from a Hebrew understanding, called out Israel understanding, we realize that all religions are very religious. The Hindus are very religious. The Buddhists are very religious. The Catholics have more laws than the Torah that we do as Hebrews. They have their own bylaws. I was sharing with a man yesterday. The Southern Baptist Convention has 2,000 bylaws alone, not counting the bylaws of when it comes to a male or female deacon, the pastors, all the bylaws of how they run their congregation. They have thousands of bylaws, and bylaw means by the law. So they're under the law themselves. We have 10, which we use. We have 613 offshooted from the 10, and basically it's references from Commandment 1, Commandment 2, Commandment 3. That gives reference of scriptures, which we don't all keep. I don't keep any of the Torah 10 Commandments that are related for a young maiden or a young boy or a Levi or High Kohanim Levi or whoever. The Torah is, those 613 are made for certain people in certain ages and certain groups. A youngster only has certain of the 10 Commandments that he abides on because he's of that young age. Okay? When you start to grow and mature, or you're in position in leadership, there's more accountability with the responsibility. Okay? So there's more protocol, or will we be more of a better example by following the Torah of Moshe? That's getting back to realize that the pagans, with these pagan days, were very religious. Okay? And these are deities. And you're calling on the name of these mighty ones. All right? Instead of saying the second month, or which I'm going to teach you the name of the proper word for the second month next week. But right now, we're going to just expose it. Okay? February derived from February, the Romans' festival of purification. It was originally the month of expiation. February is the shortest month of the Gregorian calendar. February had 28 days, yoms, until Julius Caesar gave it 29, and 30 days every 4 years. Every 4 years they add a day, a yom. According to tradition, Augustus, the Roman emperor, took one yom off to add one yom to August, the month named after him. So it would be equal to July. We now have February with 28 days and 29 on a leap years. Okay? March, named for Mars, the Roman deity of war. March is, of course, we know, Mardicus, during the week, is a part of Mars also, and they worship it every week. But there's also a monthly celebrated, a big feast of sacrifice and eating pork and all the other ham chops instead of lamb chops. Okay? And March is the third month of the Gregorian calendar. According to the early Roman calendar, it was the first month. Okay? And was called Martius. And I used to tell people that March 1st was the first day of the first month of the first day of the year years ago during the Julius calendar. And when they used to have April Fools, they were telling people April Fools because people used to have their month started that day, and there's no more starting that month. They started in January with the Gregorian calendar. So they say you've been fooled because people were coming out of their pagan tradition to another pagan tradition of the Gregorian calendar. Okay? So it was the first month, and it was called Martis. The ancient Romans later made January 1st the beginning of the year, which pushed March to the third month on the calendar. March has always had 31 days. Its name honors Mars, the Roman deity of war. April, derived from the Latin aprilis, indicating a time of fertility. It was believed that this month is the month when the earth was supposed to open up for the planets to grow. April was the second month in an early Roman calendar, but became the fourth when the ancient Romans started using January as the first month. The Romans called the month Aprilius. It may come from a word meaning to open, or it may come from Aphrodite, the Greek name for the female deity of love. Okay? Like a womb opening up. So it's a pagan deity. Don't get it wrong. May, named for Maia, the Romans' female deity of growth and increase. According to the early Roman calendar, May was the third month. Later, the ancient Romans used January 1st for the beginning of their year, and May became the fifth month. May has always had 31 days. Several stories are passed around to show how the month of May was named. The most widely accepted explanation is that it was named for Maia, the Romans' female deity of spring and growth. Her name related to the Latin word that means increase or growth. The sixth month, Junio in Spanish or Latin, but June in English, this name is sometimes attributed to Junio, the female deity of marriage, the wife of Jupiter. In Roman mythology, she was called the Queen of Heaven. This is the time when in the scriptures they talked about the Queen of Heaven, people worshiping, sacrificing to the Queen of Heaven. This was her time of the year. Queen of Heaven was worshipped in Babylon. She was worshipped in the times of the Syrians. It goes all the way back to the ancient times, the Queen of Heaven. A queen of mighty ones. The name of this month is also attributed to Junius Brutus, but originally it was most popular referred to the month in which crops grow in ripeness. June is the sixth month of the Gregorian calendar. On the Roman calendar, it was considered the fourth month, and it had only 29 days. Julius Caesar gave the month 30 days in 46 BCE when he reformed to Roman calendar. As you can see from above, the first 6 months are named for the same pagan deity. And Yahuwah told us he did not want to hear those names come out of our mouth, according to Exodus 23:13, as we remind ourselves, and in all that I have said to you, give heed, and make no mention of the name of their Elohims, nor let it be heard from your mouth. The seventh month, July. Now remember, Julius Caesar and Augustus Caesar, emperors, they're men, but they demanded their names to become deities and mighty ones, and they were worshipped, and they had a temple to them. Okay, Julius's favorite temple that he worshipped was Faith, the deity Faith, and he resurrected a temple to her that lasted all the way to the year 400 CE, till it was destroyed, to the deity of Faith. The seventh month, July, named for the Roman Emperor Julius Caesar. July is the seventh month on the Gregorian calendar. On the Roman calendar, it was the fifth month, and it was called Quintilius, meaning fifth. Julius Caesar gave the month 31 days in 46 BCE. The Roman Senate named it Julius in honor of Caesar, whom they proclaimed a deity or man worship to be worshipped. Okay? August was named for Octavius, Augustus Caesar, emperor of the Romans. The name was originally from lager, which means to increase. August is the 8th month of the Gregorian calendar, renamed by the Romans from the sextilius, meaning 6. In other words, even the Greeks had before they named Julius and August as a pagan deity worship, man worship, they both had numbers. They had sextilius for the number 6. Okay, so meaning 6, to honor their emperor Augustus Caesar, they proclaimed him a deity to be worshipped as well. Okay, so it is still man worship, it's pagan worship. Okay, because it was focused at one time, it's contaminated. September, derived from the Latin septem, meaning 7. It just means 7. Settembre just means 7. Is the month, the 9th month of the Gregorian calendar, even though it's the number 7. Okay, it got pushed up when they created a 12-month calendar, coming from the Julius calendar to the Gregorian calendar. Okay, and you got to remember that calendar was created in 1500. The United States didn't even follow the Gregorian Apostolic Catholic Church calendar until the mid or the beginning of 1800. All right, but since the time of the Emperor Augustus, it has had only 30 days. Octubre, derived from the Latin root word octo, meaning 8. Octubre is the 10th month of the year on the Gregorian calendar. It's kind of weird when you're Spanish or Latin, you know that means 8, but then they're using it for the 10th month. It throws you off, you know what I mean? And you know that word is a Spanish word or Latin word for that number, 8. Is the 10th month of the year. The Gregorian calendar, Octubre, was the 8th month in the early Roman calendar. October has had 31 days since the time of the Roman Emperor Augustus. 11. November, derived from the Latin word novim, meaning 9th. 9th, not 9, 9th with the TH. November is the 11th month of the year on the Gregorian calendar. In the early Roman calendar, it was the 9th month. The Roman Senate elected to name the 11th month for Tiberius Caesar, because he was also worshipped. And since Augustus' time, it had only 30 days originally. There were 30 days, then 29, then 31. The Anglo-Saxons referred to November as the wind month and the blood month, probably because this is the month they killed their animals for food. And then they would store it with salt and prepare it for winter. December, derived from Latin decem, meaning 10. These are, like I'm saying here, September, October, November, December. Those are actually just clean Roman Latin words for numbers. How come they did just continue using all the other numbers from January up? Because the Catholic Church is the mother harlot of Mystery Babylon, and she continued the work of pagan worship and wanted the people to mention these names. If you're a foreigner in Rome, Italy, you have to mention these names. Unless you're Kodesh and you figure out a way to use the proper number system to tell people. Of course, as the way Catholics are with excommunication, they'll figure it out. Well, you don't want to mention the pagan deities, so you must be a Jew. Or you must be something else. You know what I mean? Than Catholic. So December derived from the Latin decem, meaning 10. December is the 12th and last month of the year according to the Gregorian calendar. It was the 10th month in the early Roman calendar. It became the 12th month in a later Roman calendar. Until 46 BCE, December only had 29 days, but the Roman statesman Julius Caesar added 2 days to December, which made it 31 yoms. Okay? So now, you can play them slower. You can back it up and play them slower so you could check out the references of that particular. We need to destroy all the pagan deities. We need to get them out of our mind and our mouth before we can get them out of our surroundings. And cast down their Asherah groves and destroy them. We need to return to the ancient paths of Yahuwah and walk in Yahushua and start speaking the right rules, because He has house rules. Our Almighty Avinu, Abba, has house rules. And to be Kodeshim of Talmudim, a set apart one. Better word is Kodeshim and Talmudim. And to be a part of His house, as we inherited or grafted into the house of Israel, we now renounce all those things. I know it takes time. We're walking out of this stuff. Many of us are tangled because of our family, loved ones. We're all tangled up, and we need to be untangled from these strongholds. We are in the week of the pagan deity Cristo Misa, the celebrating December 25, the 25th, as supposed to be the principality. It's supposed to be Yahushua, but it's not. It's the principality Jesus. Okay, related to Jesus, which is the sun deity worship of Mithras. Okay, so now we need to come out. We need to walk Kodesh and walk in the fruit of the Ruach Kadosh and walk Kodesh and speak the correct words and don't mention the name of the mighty ones. Even, which is hard for many people, is to even fix this. I know it's hard. You're going to do the weeks and the months. And when I show you the months in the Hebrew, or I'm not even going to use the word Hebrew Israelite calendar because it's a Jewish Talmud calendar that you buy at the store. Okay? And they still use the word G-O-D and they use L-O-R-D. They're using all these Latin Catholic words. When I was in Israel and I was among Jewish people, or the Ashkenazi or the Sephardic, and they use the word L-O-R-D. I said, why are you using L-O-R-D? Did you know that's a pagan deity? The Catholics, we have inherited that in Israel from the Gregorian, what we call the man that started the writing, the Upan, creating the Upan schools, and they started adding, they're using those words from they got the rabbinical Talmud. They're using L-O-R-Ds, they're using G-O-Ds, and they have inherited that from the Catholic Church and paganism. Okay? So, who do you trust? You trust the mighty one on this dollar bill? He's not going to, he demands innocent blood from your babies or what we call abortion. Okay? This is the one on the dollar bill. This is dealing with the deity they trust. All right? Which was also in every single belt buckle of the Nazi party was good, mitz, uns, in God we trust. And then after we won the war, we decided to put it on our money. Okay, because it's very early. That wasn't in the money earlier. We must come to the understanding of Yeshua HaMashiach, our Mashiach, and get the revelation of it. And blow the shofar in Zion, and not follow the steps of the rabbinical Zionists or the Hasidic and their Talmud Babylon traditions of men of added pagan deities. Let's walk in the fruit of the Ruach Kadosh. Let's come to an understanding, and let's love one another and correct one another in love. And I want to share that with you. Okay? Once you learn these words and you start speaking them and you start exercising in your home and have your family and group exercising, it becomes easy. Now, the other thing that's going to happen is that when you exercising, remember I said what Hanuk means and Hanukkah, it means dedication, initiated, practiced, exercised into experience. Okay? If you want to be initiated and advance to prepare for these end-time wars, we're about to, in the spirit realm, we're going to partake in the battles of the pagan deities, the principalities. Because we know that Islam is rising all over the world and even the United States. And we're going to have to go toe-to-toe with that principality. You think going toe-to-toe with the Christian community and their Jesus is something? Wait till you go toe-to-toe spiritually. You have to bind the demonic spirit of terror and destruction. Because it's a destroyer name. That name, it means destroyer. And if they're not destroying Christian Jews, they're destroying each other, as we see ISIS doing, killing their own kind. Okay? So now, we must exercise. And what I find is like even the other day, I was having a breakfast with a man, and I used the word, Rizon, Yom Shini, the first, second, third day a week, meet me here. He says, well, what's the third day a week? Think for a minute. He says, oh, okay. Yeah, it's Tuesday. Yeah. It's the third day of the week. Well, how come you don't use those days? Oh, you're asking? Let me tell you why. I had an opportunity to witness to him, right? In purity and truth, in love. Not condemning them, you're going to hell because you're this, you're that. No, you cannot. If they have not made a commitment to Yahuwah and Yahushua to come out and learn, You're not to judge that matter or even to analyze it, except you know they're walking as the goy of the world, strangers. But they could come in as sojourners, all right? But you have to be a light and a witness to the nations. That's what it says in the Torah. We're supposed to be a light and a witness to the nations. And being a light and a witness to the nation means walking in the love of Yahuwah and giving it to him in love. Because you could plant a seed in love, like I did in that conversation when the man wanted to know why I didn't use the pagan deities of during the week or the month. And so I planted a seed so they could research. Now, it's up to the Ruach Kadosh to water that seed and that person to go home and research. I did my job. I'm the delivery boy. You know what I mean? The Ruach Kadosh will do the rest. If you trust him and you pray and intercede for your family members and loved ones, he would do the rest. We don't have to be dogmatic, real hardcore, judgmental, pointing the finger. We already know where they're going. Is even when we were in the Christian community, I couldn't stand when people would say, "You're a sinner." I said, "What are you talking about? Dude, don't do that. Everybody knows they're a sinner already." We all know we're sinners, so what are you doing? You're just putting salt on a wound? Yeah, you're going to heal the wound. You got to take them a different way. You got to use different words. Okay? So I share this with love with you. Thank you for tuning to EaglesHavenMinistry.com, HaRuachEliyahu channel, and EliyahuChannel.com on this Shabbat. Enjoy your Shabbat and have shalom with your loved ones and family. If you are watching this pre-recorded or you have Shabbat in a different day, then enjoy it together and do midrash and challenge you. I challenge you. And you challenge your group and your meeting group at home when you're watching this video. Like I said, remember, I'm going to edit this and then republish it. It'll take a few days. And then you can prepare it before you send it to somebody. Because I had some people say, "Hey, what happened to that particular video?" And I already edited it, and I changed the title slightly. So kind of wait till it pops up, and you'll see the correct title. Okay? Love you, and thank you, and have a good Shabbat. Amen and amen.